Angel Garcia has resurfaced. I guess they're, begging for crumbs, or now they trying to basically psych and talk their way into a fight with Terence Crawford. Just goes to show you that obviously they don't have nothing going on based off people are still waiting to see what is going to be the latest details on a new home for the PBC. It's looking like Amazon, but nothing is official yet. So Angel Garcia starts popping off at the mouth about Terence Crawford. Now, keep in mind, this man has said a lot of different stuff about Terence Crawford. One would deem as, racist, disrespectful, bigoted, whatever you want to call it. But of course, you have people that love to keep for dudes like Angel Garcia. Like I said, if black people had the same energy for other people that they have for other black people, then we would be better off. It's amazing how much contempt black people have for other black people for doing or saying the slightest thing. But then this dude then said all kind of crazy stuff about Terence Crawford, but yet people have defended Angel Garcia. Just like these dudes have tore down Terence Crawford for Errol Spence, and just like these so-called super pro black dudes didn't say basically nothing about the stuff that Angel Garcia said about Terence Crawford, calling him a nappy head. He called him all kind of disrespectful names. And then don't you remember where he called Keith Thurman a bitch ass nigga and all that kind of stuff? And then you had a bunch of these goofy lames trying to defend him, talk about, well, Puerto Ricans, they have black in them, they have black ancestry. And then, basically Angel Garcia did at that when he basically said that he was of European descent. Basically, he was saying he was a white Hispanic Puerto Rican. And then, of course, nobody said nothing. But like I said, it's easy for these Negroes to get on here and attack. But then when it comes to attacking the common enemy, the oppressor, then all of a sudden they disappear. Then they want to holler about, ebony and ivory, why can't we be friends and all that kind of stuff. Coward assness. So, and I'm gonna keep coming for you. I'm gonna keep coming for you, inconsistent fake pro black niggas. I'm gonna keep coming for y'all. I ain't gotta say y'all names because y'all know who y'all is. And you can't respond because I'm telling the truth. So, but it is what it is. But now all of a sudden they talking stuff about Terence Crawford. They had ample opportunity to fight Terence Crawford. They refused to fight Terence Crawford, but they'd talk about him, especially Angel. But they wouldn't get in the ring with this dude. But we all know what Terence Crawford would have did to Danny Garcia. He would have destroyed Danny Garcia, and he'll destroy him now. Danny Garcia ain't lasting 5 rounds with Terence Crawford. And then I know Terence Crawford would come in there with a chip on his shoulder based off all the stuff that Angel Garcia said about him. And then due to the fact that Terence Crawford tried to fight these dudes, he offered Danny Garcia at the time more money than what he was getting fighting on PBC cards. He was offered $3 million up front. And it probably would have ended up making like around $5 million when it was all said and done. Maybe even 6. Fighting at Madison Square Garden, it would have did good numbers. It would have probably sold out. It would have did decent numbers on pay-per-view. He had a chance to make a decent amount of money. So then he comes after Terence Crawford defeats and destroys Errol Spence, talking about, hey, I might be looking at Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford like, man, screw y'all. I tried to fight all you dudes, and y'all didn't want it. So, at the end of the day, too little, too late. But when it comes time to get in the ring, then all of a sudden you got an excuse. Once again, you elected to fight Adrian Granados, a dude that you knew you could beat, versus taking a chance and taking a risk and fighting Terence Crawford. But we all know that was the PBC motto for the most part. Don't make outside fights unless it's absolutely necessary. Or unless the fighter basically goes out of his way to ask for that fight. Now there's some stuff you've been hearing about, going on with Steve Fulton. He's saying that, he don't know when he fighting again. And I'm gonna tell you something. I know for a fact, you know, I know for a fact Big Hat Al have a reputation, and he is known for shelving fighters if they go against his wishes. And keep in mind, Steve Fulton went against Al Heyman's wishes when he took that New fight. But at the end of the day, it was $3 million. It was his biggest payday. Why wouldn't he? And from what I was told, he made more than $3 million. I was told by, some people who helped put together the fight that he made more than that. But because Al Heyman wants to keep making these, you know what I'm saying, making these inside fights to where basically he could pay these dudes what he want and just keep having these dudes fighting each other, sort of like in a pyramid like form, for the most part, and not having the outside source another fighter to where basically you don't have to pay top dollar. You can pay these dudes a certain amount of money and basically keep them fighting each other. So now it looked like Steve Fulton may get shelved. I'm gonna do a video about that, but I just wanted to alert you guys and let you know what's possibly going on with him. Now, of course, he can't basically go into deep detail for the most part because he a lot of times you heard Al Heyman makes these guys sign non-disclosure contracts where you can't really go in on Al Heyman. So they can just put out innuendos. You seen what they did to, you seen what they recently did to Frank Martin. So there you have it. Oh, of course I do. Of course I do. Oh man. Oh, here we go. Well, I'm finna get rid of this dude because since I'm finna get rid of this dude. Let me get rid of this John dude since he seemed to have a problem with what I'm talking about. So there you go. So I want Bud to put hands on him too, but I mean at the end of the day, Bud at a point now, it ain't no big money in fighting Danny Garcia. It would have been a decent amount of money a few years ago, but Bud is at a level now where he wants a certain amount of money per fight. I mean, he got, allegedly, like $10 million for the Abenesian fight. Then he got, a decent amount of money. That he got anywhere from 15 to 20 million for the Errol Spence fight, depending on who you talk to. So, kind of like fighting Danny Garcia and Boots is kind of like going backwards. And you just got to keep it 100. And I'm not knocking Boots, but at the end, I'm knocking Boots. Candyman. But anyway, no pun intended. I'm not, disrespecting the brother because I didn't interview Boots. I didn't interview his dad before, but I'm just saying people got to understand it's not a duck, but that's a narrative that, these Errol Spence fun boys like to put out. Because keep in mind, when Errol Spence was active and he was calling Errol Spence out, they were saying that Boots hadn't done anything. And he got elevated to basically, I think is the IBF champ, if I'm not mistaken. And Terence Crawford should have had a chance to defend the belt. And they basically stripped him of it, which Errol Spence was inactive for over a year. And they didn't remotely talk about stripping him. So, I mean, it is what it is, but Boots got to understand Boots is not there yet. Boots haven't fought anybody yet. And you just got to keep it a buck. Everybody be trying to, try to rationalize and say that Terence Crawford is ducking. They only say Terence Crawford. Keep in mind, people only say Terence Crawford is ducking somebody. Boots had 2 opportunities to fight Terence Crawford. Hey, he said he wanted to stay loyal to Showtime. That came out of his daddy's mouth. That came out of Bonzi's mouth. That came out of his mouth. They said they wanted to stay loyal to Showtime. Well, Showtime didn't stay loyal to them because Showtime ended boxing, in a couple of weeks. So there you have it. I'm just keeping it a buck, So you try to explain that to people. You have to understand Terence Crawford is 6 years. Al kept him dude. So that problem. If you they had a good marketing machine, like building up them fighters, making a lot of them better than what they really were. But at the end of the day, the damage is done, and nobody wants to have a real conversation. If Showtime was doing the paper, it was getting the pay-per-view results that they wanted, they would still be in business with PBC. Nobody wants to hear that. So I just wanted to put that out there. But Angel Garcia, man, he full of it, man. He full of shit. And that's just the bottom line. I know eventually that I may have to talk to Danny Garcia, but I'm just saying, if I'm just saying, I'm not hating on Angel, but I'm just telling the truth, man. Like, why won't you fight the dude? Or now it's like I said, you had a chance to fight the dude. You blew your opportunity. You got talked into taking $1.2 million. Yes, Danny Garcia, I will say this much good for Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia took care of his money. Danny Garcia managed his money very well. Danny Garcia invested his money well. So from what I'm hearing, Danny Garcia is doing pretty well. He took care of his money. Good, good for him. But at the end of the day, when they had the opportunity to make a bigger payday, they elected to take less money to fight somebody in Adrian Granados and other people. So, if you look at Danny Garcia didn't do very much when he went up to 147. He had some decent wins, but he didn't have the wins. The fights that he needed to win was against dudes like Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, and he failed to win those fights. He lost. And Errol Spence. So, but he was, I'll say, a little bit better than, he did a little bit better than what you would call okay. I'll say he's somewhere in between solid and good. A little bit better. He needed to be 100 and just admit that they didn't want smoke. They just only for talking shit about Bud, media people, but they went about, but you got